I'll just label that one, that last one. Republicans are not pro-life. They're not pro-life even when it comes to abortion. They want to end that 10-year-old girl who just got raped. She got raped, and now they're going to make her have the baby of the person that just raped her. They're not going to get a morning after pill. They're not going to give her a month or two to take care of it with a doctor. Nope. She got raped. That sperm reached her egg. That's a baby. That's a life. That's not life. The 10-year-old girl is a life. She's, there's a guy in Louisville. He killed his stepson because the woman had an abortion. So, because she got, it taken care of in a month or two, he said eye for an eye. It's just like the Bible, right? Eye for an eye. You're for, you killed my kid, I'll kill your kid. And so he killed a 13-year-old kid. You can't tell the difference between putting a gun to a 13-year-old kid and blowing their brains out and then, taking a couple of cells and then just moving them over to the side. That baby can't live on its own. It's a parasite. When it can live on its own, then it's its own thing. You can actually, if you're in a laboratory and you put cells together, is that life too? And then, okay, so I'm not talking about abortion. I'm talking about Bernie Sanders and his position on Palestine. So let's just get a couple of Bernie Sanders quotes here, okay? So Bernie Sanders hired a progressive Middle East analyst named Matt Duss. And so he wasn't very articulate with the whole Palestine issue right now, but he is a socialist Jew. Is Christian capitalist America going to elect a socialist Jew? No, that's not even possible. It's very possible, and actually, when it comes to Israel and Palestine, because he is a Jew, that gives him, that gives him kind of a leg up, that gives him an inside track when it comes to Israel. So he is a Jew, and it's very important for him that Israel is protected. He believes in the two-state solution. So he doesn't want a one-state solution because he wants Israel to keep on being a Jewish country. He went through the Holocaust. His father and his uncle moved to America after they lived in Poland. So the Nazis killed all the family of Bernie Sanders, and then Bernie Sanders' father and uncle come into America, and then that's it. So that's it. Bernie and his brother and, their grandchildren. So that's the entire lineage. That's all the, American generation of Sanders. So he was a victim of the Holocaust. His family was killed by the Holocaust. He understands that we need to protect the Jewish people. He understands that Israel needs to be protected. So they all say that. But the two-state solution is also something they all agree on. So Republicans and Democrats alike, George W. Bush, even, every person, there's two solutions, I think. One state democratic, so a republic, where everybody gets a right to vote, everybody gets equal rights, and it's a secular nation, so it's not a Jewish nation or a Muslim nation. It's America. You can't establish religion. You got the freedom to worship whoever you want, but the state cannot say that's our religion. You cannot have a state-established religion. And so do it like America. Let's create Israel, Palestine, put them together. Let's call it Israel, Palestine, Israel, something. So, put them together, a one-state solution, a secular Democrat state, or a two-state solution. Palestine gets a state, Israel gets a state. And it's been the American policy to do a two-state solution for fucking years. So in some respects, people are saying, God, we've tried this forever. It's not working. Let's just do something different because this isn't working. Bernie Sanders believes in the two-state solution. So he's got Matt Duss. Matt Duss is a new Middle East analyst that's on Bernie Sanders' team, and he's a foreign policy advisor in his Senate office, and he developed a close relationship with J Street. Whoever J Street is. I've heard J Street several times. Oh, J Street. Okay, yeah, J Street. So beyond his intense focus on ending the war in Yemen, striking new global trade arrangements, Bernie Sanders is going to make the Israeli-Palestinian conflict a central theme of his foreign policy message. So Bernie Sanders, in his own words, I am not anti-Israel. But the fact of the matter is Netanyahu is a right-wing politician who I think is treating the Palestinian people extremely unfairly, to put it mildly, right? But he's criticizing Israel. what I believe is not radical. I just believe that the United States should deal with the Middle East on a level playing field basis. So this is 2017, Bernie Sanders. The killing of Palestinian demonstrators by Israeli forces in Gaza is tragic. It is the right of all people to protest for a better future without a violent response. I'm extremely concerned by reports that President Trump plans to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Israel. There's a reason why all past U.S. administrations have avoided making this move, and why leaders from all over the world, including a group of former Israeli ambassadors, have warned Trump against doing it. It would dramatically undermine the prospects for an Israeli-Palestinian peace agreement and severely, perhaps irreparably, damage the United States' ability to broker that peace. What the U.S. should be doing now is bringing adversaries in the Middle East together to seek common solutions, not exacerbating tensions in this highly volatile region. So that's a little bit of Bernie Sanders on Palestine. Let's get to Palestine directly, okay? So actually, I want to just say a couple things. I love Anne Frank. I identify with the oppressed. So the Jewish population in Nazi Germany, right? I love them. The Irish, the Scots, even Germans in America, they were oppressed at one point in time. Black people, Native Americans. So I identify with the oppressed. And what do the Jews in Nazi Germany need to do? Well, they need to get rid of the fucking Nazis, or they need to, get the fuck out of Dodge and establish themselves somewhere else. So I don't give a shit about religion, but I'm not Hitler. So you can be, Jewish, you can be Muslim, you can be Buddhist. I know good and bad. Personally, I guess I know a lot of good people that are religious, but I know some bad people that are religious too. But when I think about celebrities, because when, there's good and bad in all groups of people. There's good and bad in every group of people. So just because, you're a Christian, that don't mean nothing to me. That means you could say you're a Christian, make people think you're a good person, but really you're an asshole. Really you're a selfish, greedy asshole, and you're a criminal, and you just, take for your, and hurt people, and you don't give a shit. So religion don't move me, but there's a lot of Jewish people I like. I like Albert Einstein. I like Jon Stewart. I like Larry David, Bernie Sanders. I think Karl Marx was a Jew. So I like a lot of Jewish people. I also like kosher food. So there's a tradition of Judaism about where you treat the animals properly, you feed them properly, you don't beat them, and then you're supposed to slaughter them in a particular way. But essentially, kosher food just means you treat the animal well, and then that meat, the meat that they produce, will be better. So that's just common sense. And so, I like the tradition, the Jewish tradition of preferring kosher food. I just feel like I need to say that. So I do not look down upon Bernie Sanders because he's Jewish. His Jewishness means something to him. I think Noam Chomsky might be Jewish. Bobby Fischer used to be Jewish, and then he just hated the Jewish people. But then there was an article that said, well, what kind of Jew is Bobby Fischer? Because there's like a cultural Judaism if you grew up in that culture, so there's like traditions. So anyways, I do not have any problems with the Jewish people. I have a problem with your religion. I got a problem with your religion. But the people themselves, you could say that you're a Jewish person, and that doesn't mean one thing or another to me. What means something to me is whether you're a good person or a bad person, whether you're an asshole or a criminal, right? Fuck the criminals. If scapegoating is human, let's scapegoat assholes and criminals. People that are just dicks to be dicks, fuck those assholes. Criminals, people that hurt other people, yeah, definitely fuck those people. So, the Palestine question to me is a great litmus test when it comes to morality and ethics. For too long, because there's so many issues in America, right? Legalization of marijuana, universal health care, poverty, the police are out of control. When it comes to so many progressive issues, it's like you got to pick and choose which one you want, because you're only going to get 5, right? If you could only choose one thing that you could change about America, what would it be? And so I think a lot of times the Palestinians get compromised. People say, well, they do deserve rights, but we need to work on these issues over here. Well, we're an empire, and so the Palestinian question is given lots of fuel to the fire for the, Muslims and the Arabs in the region, because look what they're doing to Palestine. Never forget Palestine. Look at how they're treating Palestine. And then Israel, we went into the Iraq war. We're threatening Iran. Iraq and Iran isn't even close to us. And we're not doing it to protect Germany. We're doing it to protect Israel. Those are Israel's enemies. And then Saudi Arabia, we give weapons to Saudi Arabia, so it's like, are Saudi Arabia and Israel best friends? I don't, so when it comes to the Palestinian-Israeli issue, the Palestinians are people too. That's all the Republicans need to know. And that's all when it comes to the Palestinian issue. It just answers the question, are you a racist piece of shit? If you're a racist piece of shit, then the death of 500 brown babies won't matter to you. Right? You won't give a shit that Israel killed 500, Palestinian babies. You're pro-life. You don't care about the brown babies because you're pro-life, right? You're pro-life. You don't give a shit if they murder because you're so pro-life. Yeah, pro-life indeed. So I'm not going to compromise on the lives of the Palestinians. When it comes to American foreign policy, what we need to do, Vietnam, we fucked up. So when it comes to war, we have got to go into war being the good guys. If we go into war being the bad guys and then just defend our shitty position, that's going to end not just our empire, and we're not just going to lose the war, but we're going to lose our country. We're going to lose our country. You can't murder people, and the world isn't just going to keep on ignoring it. Hitler took over Austria. The world ignored it. Hitler took over Bohemia. The world ignored it. And then he took over Poland. And the world was like, okay, we see a trend here. There's something. Then the world jumped on Hitler, and then we beat him, right? So to think that you could just go around doing anything and everything, fuck that. I think that we could defend ourselves, we can fight against genocide, we can fight against slavery, and we can protect other countries that are being invaded by other countries, but we can't just invade people just to be invading people. No fucking way. How would you like it if I went into your house and then locked you up in the basement? Well, I give you a basement. I give you a room in the basement, not the whole basement. You just get a room off to the side in the cold-ass, damp, cold basement. You'd be happy? You'd be all right with that. I go in your house, I put you in a room in the basement, and, I give you a room so you'd be okay. That's what Israel is doing to Palestine. It's an open-air concentration camp. It's an open-air prison. It's a blockade. They're not letting any humanitarian aid in. Nobody can get food into Palestine. So they're not allowed to eat. They count every single calorie that goes into Palestine. Every single calorie that goes into Palestine is counted. So they have a blockade with Palestine. There's military checkpoints. There's a military occupation. The United States gives $4 billion to Israel. We protect Israel's crimes with our Security Council veto. And they killed 551 Palestinian kids in 2014. So 2014, 551 children were killed because you're so pro-life. And then in 2008, 2009, 1,400 Palestinians were killed, including 288 kids. 2014, 2,300 Palestinians were killed. So we're killing thousands of Palestinians and hundreds of kids. That's with our taxpayer dollar. That's what America finances. That's why we give Israel $4 billion to murder these brown kids, right? Kill brown kids because you're so pro-life. Just 2 months ago, March 2019, 62 Gazans were killed. 2 Israelis were killed, but 62 Gazans were killed. And it was Israeli snipers shooting mostly unarmed protesters. They don't have a right to peacefully assemble. They don't have a right to speech and to peacefully assemble. Israel's not like America at all. Israel doesn't respect the right to freedom, the right to peacefully assemble. Israel, Netanyahu says, if you're Arab, you better not go vote, because there's some Arabs that are living in Israel, but Netanyahu says, nope, we don't want you to vote. Netanyahu's talking about annexing the West Bank, so even though everybody agrees on the two-state solution, these settlements, they just keep on taking Palestinian land, right? Well, maybe we'll just take another inch, and then we'll take another inch, and they just keep on stealing Palestinian land just like they did in 1948. They stole a shit ton of Palestinian land, and they keep stealing it. They can't stop themselves. America's not stopping them, but that's our pit bull. We're paying them $4 billion. We protect them with our Security Council veto. They're an ally, so when we were fighting Nelson Mandela, right, Ronald Reagan gives all the weapons to bin Laden because, fuck those Russians up. And then he gives a bunch of weapons to the apartheid government, and he funneled it through Israel. So Israel's got nuclear weapons. They pass the weapons to whoever we want them to pass weapons to. So Nelson Mandela was fighting against apartheid South Africa, but we give the weapons to the enemies of Nelson Mandela. So we're opposed to Nelson Mandela, and we're in favor of bin Laden. In the 1980s we were. And so Israel is an ally for, it's kind of our little client state. It's a little pit bull. It's our pit bull. And if our pit bull goes out and kills, 500 brown kids, that's your fault. That pit bull is just doing what you taught it to do, right? That pit bull went out and killed 500 brown kids. You didn't put that pit bull, you didn't lock it up, you didn't put it on a chain, you didn't, keep it inside your yard. You let it run out, and it murdered 551 children. That's not pro-life. That's murder, and you should be culpable for murder. And so for people just to say, well, Israel, it's so good, you're going to ignore that they're murdering people? No. Your pit bull kills somebody, you go to jail, and your pit bull gets put down. That's what happens. And it only takes one kid, right? If you have a pit bull and it goes out and it kills a kid, that pit bull is put down, and you're going to get charged with homicide. I think you should actually be charged with, first-degree murder. That dog intended to kill it. You knew it was a killer, and it got out. You didn't lock it up. You're to blame. You're to blame. Yeah, the dog, poor dog, it just did what, it's just a dumb animal and did what its owners told it to do. But you taught that pit bull, so that's what should happen if you own a pit bull and it kills a kid. And if it kills 500 kids. So our pit bull in the Middle East, we don't have it on a leash. It's not on a chain. And so murder is murder. Murder is murder. Whether it's in warfare, whether it's just one person killing another person, murder is murder. So they want to pretend they're pro-life. They're not pro-life. Look at Palestine. They don't give a shit about the brown kids. They're racist pieces of shit, and they're pro-murder, pro-violence, pro-bloodshed. They don't give a shit about the brown kids. 62 of them were killed, innocent ones, 2 months ago. 2 months ago. So don't even tell me that there's nothing going on. No murder. You could maybe try to say they're defending themselves. Bill Maher wants to say that they're putting up the children and they're using the children as human shields. Oh my God, so if I got a gun and I point it at you and you pick up a kid and you put a kid in front of you, is that your fault? Like, yeah, you're a coward, you shouldn't have done that, but isn't the person that's responsible the one that's pointing the gun at both of you all? So to say, well, they're hiding behind the kids, and what are you what are you trying to tell me right now? That you just have a right to murder them no matter what, even if you kill 500 kids? So let's get on to some Bernie Sanders quotes. I just got a list of them here, and I just want to, Bernie Sanders, he's the man, right? So Bernie Sanders, in 2019, this is just a couple days ago. So he says instead of, 5, so it's May, we're in July, so yeah, a couple months ago. Instead of applauding Israel for its actions, Israel should be condemned. Israel has a right to security, but shooting unarmed protesters is not what it is about. So over 50 killed in Gaza today, 2,000 wounded on top of the 41 killed, and more than 9,000 wounded over the past weeks. This is a staggering toll. Hamas violence does not justify Israel firing on unarmed protesters. So Hamas is killing people. That's what, Bernie is saying. And so because Hamas is killing people, Israel cannot kill innocent people. Well, that guy killed me, so I get to kill these innocent people. No, you don't. Well, Hitler was killing us. We get to kill them because, the Palestinians, because Hitler is a Christian. Hitler is European. The Palestinians, so what it seems like, I won't put it, perfectly. It's not a Holocaust. It's a slow-moving Holocaust, but they're not putting Palestinians in gas chambers, so it's not Nazi Germany, but it's an open-air concentration camp. They're surrounded. They can't get out. They can't come in. They have to have passport and stuff, so only a few of them. They're counting every calorie that goes in. So if you own a prison, and, instead of having 2 states, instead we're going to just put Mexico, and we surround Mexico with, a bunch of military weapons and slowly but surely keep on taking Mexican land. We don't let the Mexicans leave. We're doing that. That's us. We're making an open-air prison out of Mexico. That's what they're doing to Palestine. So the only comparison, I guess, that I would make about Nazi Germany is that Nazi Germany were the aggressors, and they were hurting the Jewish people, and Israel is the aggressor, and they're hurting innocent people. But they're not exactly. I mean, it's history doesn't repeat itself. History rhymes. It sometimes rhymes. That's Mark Twain. So Bernie Sanders, okay, we cannot ignore the reality that you have large numbers of Palestinians who are suffering now, poverty rate off the charts, unemployment off the charts, Gaza remaining a destroyed area. Israel cannot just simply expand when it wants to expand with new settlements. I think if the expansion was illegal, moving into territory that was not their territory, I think withdrawal from those territories is appropriate. I happen to think that those expansions were illegal. And he's even going to say that the settlements, they got to move back. And what are you going to do to people that built buildings in Palestine, and they say, well, you know, I built a building, I bought the property, so this is my property, and they're going to have to militarily, they're going to have to, you know, use violence to get them out of Palestine if we want to maintain a two-state solution. And the two-state solution protects the Jewish state. But if they don't get Palestine a state, then what they're doing is they're forcing either A, to have a Jewish nation, which, you know, nobody's going to like that, and then the Palestinians could have a Muslim state, right? I guess somebody could just drop a nuke on it all. So there's only like 5 options, and 3 of them are crap. The only 2 good options is a singular, secular, democratic state or a, you know, Jewish state right next to a Palestinian state. So because they keep on taking Palestinian land, Israel's kind of forcing the issue that they're going to cease to be a Jewish nation. They're going to be a secular democratic nation because they keep taking Palestinian land. They keep taking land that isn't theirs. And so if they're not going to respect the two-state solution, then you're going to have to respect the one-state solution. If you don't respect the two-state or the one-state solution, then we're going to pull our $4 billion out, and we're not going to protect you in the UN Security Council anymore. We're just going to let you defend yourself. You know, we got to protect our people. We got to protect us. And so for us, a lot of times it seems I think Michael Bennett cares more about Israel than he does America. And I guess I'm the opposite. I care about my country more than other people's country. So America is the one indispensable nation. America is the one essential nation. Israel is? Why is Israel an essential nation? The nation states come and go. So even though America has never been attacked throughout history, history also teaches us that civilizations rise and fall. So, you know, to assume that our 300-year-old nation state can't collapse, it can collapse. So I think that, you know, for our own self-interest, America is the indispensable nation, not Israel. And then someone said Israel, I love America #1, Israel #2. I mean, my God, I think I like Canada would be my #2. I like America #1, Canada #2. I mean, they're right there. If Canada got invaded by, you know, let's just pick a country, Bolivia invades Canada, that would be concerning to me. If Bolivia invaded Israel, you know, that's, you know, bad, or maybe not. If they're defending the Palestinians, then that would be a good thing. But it doesn't, you know, it doesn't bother me if it was good or bad. It bothers me, but it doesn't bother me like Canada, because it's so far over there. So because what? Nigeria invades Burkina Faso. That, anyways, it bothers me because one person shouldn't invade another country ever. But I'm just saying Canada's right there, whereas all this shit's over, you know, over the Atlantic Ocean. And America's been safe because we got the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. So I'd be more concerned. I'd be concerned if Mexico got invaded, or the, you know, Central America or South America, the Monroe Doctrine, right? If someone invaded Bolivia, Bolivia is more important to me than Israel. And all South America, all Central America, all the American states are more important to me because this is my home. This is where I live. So for people to say Israel is the most indispensable nation and America isn't, what do we chop liver over here? Hey, come on, guy, what's up? What am I? What am I? Chop liver? What am I? Potted plant? Yay. Oy vey. We cannot ignore the reality that you have large numbers of Palestinians suffering, poverty off the charts. And so he's, you know, I think most international observers would say that the attacks against Gaza were indiscriminate and that a lot of innocent people were killed who should not have been killed. Indiscriminate attacks. So Israel is just killing anybody and everybody in the neighborhood indiscriminately. And so you cannot, you're pro-life, right? You're pro-life. Yeah, you're so pro-life, Republicans. I see you. You're pro-life. Yeah, right. So pro-life. So, in a world of high technology, it's drones that could, take your nose off. Israel has a lot of technology. There's a general belief that with that technology, they could have been more discriminate in terms of taking out weapons that were threatening them. Yeah, they definitely could. I'm going to read the rest of this, okay? I think if the expansion was illegal, moving into the territory was not their territory. I think withdrawal from those territories is appropriate. I happen to think that those expansions were illegal. There are going to be demands being made of the Palestinian folks as well. Foreign aid should go to housing and schools, not the development of bombs and missiles. To my mind, as friends, long-term friends with Israel, we are obligated to speak the truth as we see it. That is what real friendship demands, especially in difficult times. But it is important among friends to be honest and truthful about differences that we may have. I am here to tell the American people that if elected president, I will work tirelessly to advance the cause of peace as a partner and as a friend to Israel. But to be successful, we have also got to be a friend not only to Israel but to the Palestinian people. Where in Gaza, unemployment today is 44%. We have a poverty rate which is almost as high. So when we talk about Israel and Palestinian areas, it's important to understand that today there's a whole lot of suffering among Palestinians, and that cannot be ignored. You can't have good policy that results in peace if you ignore one side. If we're ever going to bring peace to that region, which has seen so much hatred and so much war, we're going to have to treat the Palestinian people with respect and dignity. We cannot continue to be one-sided. There are two sides to the issue. I read Secretary Clinton's speech before AIPAC. I heard virtually no discussion at all about the needs of the Palestinian people. Almost none in that speech. You gave a major speech to AIPAC, which obviously deals with the Middle East crisis, and you barely mentioned the Palestinians. There comes a time when, if we pursue justice and peace, we're going to have to say that Netanyahu is not right all the time. Would you support a one-state solution with equal rights for all if a two-state solution failed? No, I don't. I think if that happens, then that would be the end of the state of Israel, and I support Israel's right to exist. I think you could have a one-state solution, and the Jewish character would still be there. You could call it Israel, but it's a democratic, secular nation. So we're a Christian nation, but not really. It's not a theocracy. Salem, right, theocracy broke on the back of Salem. We're killing witches. Well, okay, maybe we shouldn't let religion run shit. Oh, you're killing witch? Oh, she's a witch, huh? She's flying around, magic spells and all that, right? Oh, man, she's a witch. Well, you better kill her, right? So Christians, the Christians are the KKK, Hitler's a Christian, the Russian czars, Christopher Columbus, Mussolini, so the right-wing Catholic Church throughout the Dark Ages. So Christianity is not clean. It is not perfect. It has a lot of bloodshed, too, so it's got a lot of really shitty things behind it. It's got good things, Dorothy Day, Martin Luther King Jr. So, but my point is that if Israel was to turn into one state, if Israel was to do the democratic secular nation, and they were to just combine themselves into one state, that was Israel, right? For 71 years, that was the Jewish nation. And the Jewish nation they're such good people. This is Paulo Freire. The duty of the oppressed is to liberate both the oppressed and the oppressor. And so if you want the oppressed and the oppressor to get along and they got to stay together, well, you got to let the oppressed knock the oppressor down. Hey, this is what you're doing to me, oppressor. And then the oppressor's like, well, shit, I didn't like that. Maybe I should treat you with respect. Or you let them break off and you let them establish their own thing. So, if it was a one-state solution, democratic republic, so everybody gets a right to vote, everybody gets equal rights, you had tolerance of religion, it wouldn't be Israel, the Jewish nation anymore, it'd be Israel, the secular, fair nation that believes in the toleration of, religions. You could be Buddhist, you could be atheist, you could be this, you could be that. That would be perfect. I think that would be perfect for Israel. That would be perfect for the Jewish people, the Jewish nation. Israel, they're always going to be that Jewish nation. They're started out as a Jewish nation. They established themselves. They carved themselves out a little piece in the world. The Jewish people did need a homeland, and it will always be a homeland. So I don't see that the Jewish character, the Jewish essence, won't go away. It won't be a theocracy, so it won't be establishment of religion, but I think a singular, secular, democratic nation, between Israel and Palestine, because Israel's forcing that. Israel's forcing that. They're not letting Palestine have their own country. So, therefore, Israel's forcing the Jewish state to be no more. So, Israel as a state can exist, and if it's one state, though, they can't just be a Jewish nation anymore. They'll have to be, a Christian nation.